get up, and welcome to Confidence from the Clouds. This is the first ever episode of Confidence from the Clouds with me, Huw Williams, who is going to be your companion, your company, your backbone sometimes, and your back. I've got your back. I'm here to chat for you, just to listen as you're going through your life, because that's what we are here to do. We're all making sure everybody is getting safe home. So, what is the podcast about, I hear you ask, or wonder, as I'm floating around in your ears and walking around in your mind? Confidence from the Clouds has come about from other podcasts and life experience, and I am here to channel some thoughts, wisdom, love, compassion, joy, and healing. And I just so happen to be wearing my green tracksuit today. Now, it's a brand new green tracksuit, and it arrived earlier today whenever I was speaking with a friend, and I noticed, hang on a minute, we're talking about this sort of change I'm experiencing, or I'm finally having the courage for this change. And I'll explain where my fear came from before courage. And hopefully, if it resonates with you, we're able to be going through it together. And I'll be giving you some hints and tips, which I've learned over the last 10 years on how you can not only survive, but thrive within your personality and your person and you. And it's really, really exciting. So anyway, back to the green tracksuit. Chakra, as we all know, green is the sign of heart. It's the sign of compassion. It's the sign of just equaling things out, the color even. So my first question to you all, as you go on your merry way after you listen to this podcast today, is, what's your favorite color? And when was the last time you wore it? Yeah? If you're wearing it now, brilliant. And is there a colour that you wear or that you're drawn to whenever you are in a state of power? Or also, the other way, if things aren't going very well, is there a colour that you might see often or be attracted to? Because a lot of the times that colour is from your chakra. And I was very much for a long time in orange. I was in a state of orange. I'd be wearing orange. And then my whole life changed. In 2019, I was diagnosed with inoperable stage 4 cancer. Primary in my small bowel, secondary in my liver. I was very unfortunate that the hormones excreted from the cancer had worn out 3 of my heart valves. It's only recently, and we're talking 6 years ago, this happened, that I've only been able to talk about it out loud, about how inner courage has only arrived back now. How the cancer, the horrific shock of it all, wiped out my ability for intuition. So maybe a few of you listening to this, if something unfortunately has bad happened in your life, or you're going through something not very good at the moment and your intuition is off, this first episode is for you. And it's about regaining your gut feeling on things, regaining your intuition on things. And I'm just going to talk you through some of the things that I'm drawn to and some of the habits that you might have corrected. The habits, even my wording now is I'm positive on the negative. Oh boy, this is the first podcast. I feel as if I've never podcasted before. And I'm stepping off a completely different podcast that I used to do that had over 190,000 listens, right? And it's that pure, raw excitement that only dogs can have or toddlers. And whenever you're experiencing something brand new, it's so very exciting. But if you're stepping into something brand new with fear, you're unable to obtain the excitement because the fear or judgment or lack of courage is stopping for this pure feeling. So let's really strip back. Let's strip back. Let's just talk about colors. Whatever your favorite color is, start wearing it more. There's that old saying, look good, feel good. And I cannot stress that enough. Going back to my cancer journey, and this is an episode where I'll explain a little bit more about who I am and where I've come from to come into your ears and spheres. And then I'll park it and I'll just be doing the podcasts as they are. But this is like the first episode. And I want to meet you and I want you to meet me and I want you to know I'm talking from a place of compassion and I'm also talking from a place of experience. And I think that's really, really important, especially if you're feeling a bit lost and lonely at the moment. Okay? If you've reverted possibly into child trauma and you're looking for a way out because at the moment your courage is stuck in like a childlike mentality, I'm here to really level up and put you back into that place of personal power. Okay. There is a little bit of an Americanisms whenever I talk, but I do like talking positively. It just helps. If you think about how beautiful the earth is, let's just talk with that beauty inside. That's what we should be doing. So first of all, if you're in a situation or if there's people that are causing you difficulties and you want to stand up to them, but you can't yet, but you want to build a foundation to get your intuition back, to get your courage back, start standing up to your thoughts. Okay. This is something called future focusing. And it's something I've practiced for the last 6 years since I've been diagnosed with cancer. And it goes a little bit like this. You may have heard about people talking about affirmations before, right? Future focusing and telling a problem how you feel about it, and then bolting on something positive in a sentence that will lead you away from that thought. So, for instance, what I used to say was whenever I was in bed after having open heart surgery and I couldn't do much, I'd start my day, I'd wake up and I'd say this out loud, looking out the window, looking at something natural, something beautiful, and I'd just say, I am aware that I am worried and I am saddened about my health and how I am feeling. However, I will not let it spoil my joy and abundance for today and all my days to come. What that does, that stops thoughts in its tracks. Because what you've done is you've taken the thoughts which is silently inside you and you've talked out loud. You've talked out loud, looking at nature, feeling like nature. And you've told a situation that you're going through that although you're aware of it, acknowledgement, you're not going to let it spoil your joyful and abundant day. Now, if joyful and abundant isn't the right kind of positive words that you're used to saying, it might be happy or feeling wonderful, rearrange those words, right? That it is sounding correctly to you. Now, you might have to do this like 2 or 3 times during the day, but over time, and the universe has a buffering, sometimes you're lagging behind your own future. Sometimes you're ahead of it. But if you stand up to your thoughts, you'll notice slowly but surely things will be getting better. And that acts as a magnet for even more better things. So I'll just go over that again, and it's really nice and simple. If you haven't got a nice view out of your window, have a look at something like this is a lovely process. Have a look for lovely pictures or nice pictures that you've maybe taken on holiday or places you want to go on holiday, or if there's landscapes or somewhere that you can have a look at and you can say it peacefully out loud. I'm aware that I'm not feeling 100% and get niche because the pain of the cancer is hurting. That was for me specific, but I will not let it stop the joy and abundance I'm experiencing today, tomorrow, and the rest of my days. Now, I used little hints and tips and tricks like that whenever I was bedbound for over a year. And this was during COVID. So I'd been diagnosed the tail end of 2019 with inoperable neuroendocrine cancer, primary in my small bowel, secondary in my liver, and then it had worn out 3 of my heart valves. So at the start of 2020, I had to go into hospital to have life-saving open heart surgery. And when I woke up, there was 2 weeks in hospital, and then I was sent home because COVID had arrived. And all my support that I was supposed to be having from the medical team and the mental health side of things, I've always been one to practice my mental health and look after my mental well-being. And I'd booked a Macmillan psychiatrist for after my open heart surgery because I know, having been just diagnosed a few months before of inoperable neuroendocrine cancer and then having to go for open heart surgery, would potentially be a little bit of overload for the mind. But they had to work in the hospital. So I was sent home, and I was sent home to die because I was unable to stay in the hospitals because they didn't know how long this new virus would have happened, COVID. In that time, I didn't have any visitors. This is the hard bit. This is where you've got to really dig deep. Whenever you're really isolated and your own, what do you do? What I did, I channeled this isolation into like a childlike wonderment. And I revisited things that I enjoyed as a child, which I could do on my own, and I could not need much physical to do it because as a child, I used to like drawing and I used to like painting. But the thing, and I'm going to say it saved my life, was Lego. So I'd get a Lego set and I'd follow, and I'd follow every single day the instructions, and I'd build and I'd build and I'd build. And that's why you see so many old people gardening, because again, future focusing. And the podcast itself leads us into the sort of flavor of the show. And I think today it's almost like a warm up. It's taken me like 15 minutes to warm up into the show of, hang on a minute, today is going to be about future focusing. We've we've had like a little mini battle with our thoughts, but future focusing as well. It doesn't have to be Lego, but if you can create a little habit or something that you have to get back to every day, let's word that properly. I made a mistake. Sorry, hand up. Made a mistake. Something you have to get back to every day. I have to do that. Okay. This is what you sort of change it for. I get to go back to it tomorrow. I get to go for that 2-mile run. I get to get up early and paint. I get to get up early and speak with a friend that I haven't for a long while. I get to finish work and bake something that I've seen on the internet. And that's involving you, where maybe your day to day life doesn't allow it, where you're in some sort of other person's space. And then I get to, that really does excite the mind because it's like, oh, tomorrow I get to do that. You're not going to look at the weather forecast. It might be raining. I get to do that. Little things that I get to do is I get to play with my dog every day. I've got a golden retriever called Coco, and I get to play with her every single day. I also get to get up every single day. I also get to speak with my friends every single day, and it doesn't have to change the world. But if you start rewording how you want to arrive in the next day or even the next hour, the next minute, so it's a treat rather than something that isn't what you want. That's something really, really, really useful. I'm just having a little glance at my notes today because I wasn't quite sure what I was going to talk about, but we've been led, I think, to future focusing. Future focusing as well. When was the last time people say prepare meals for the week to save time. Have you thought about preparing your thoughts? Simple, isn't it? Right. Okay. So what, hey, what are you on about? Imagine if you could prepare your thoughts for the week. What? Yeah. So this week, especially Wednesday, I've got a meeting. So rather than thinking, oh man, I've got a meeting on Wednesday that's going to take got an hour, potentially got a Zoom meeting. Oh, it's going to take hour. So Wednesday's like, right, Wednesday, I'm going to have double positivity and happiness, booking yourself into your emotions. Is it really that easy, Huw? Hang on a minute. Yep. It is. It is. It's a simple holiday clothe everything. All right. Clothe your thoughts and rose tinted glasses. You can't wear them all the time. However, you're allowed more than one pair of rose tinted glasses, so you can take them out to adjust the situation. But so many people focus on the problem rather on what they're going to bring to it and how they're going to act with it. And I use the word act because sometimes that's what we're doing. We're all in this game of life, and it is acting to a certain degree with some situations, as in fake it till you make it and the fear of imposter syndrome. So you're sort of acting through your fear, and then you arrive at what you want to do. So what gives me the sort of like the pleasure of being able to speak to you about courage? I haven't jumped out of airplanes. I haven't done anything absolutely amazing in my life. I've been lucky enough to sail around Ireland, do the Marathon des Sables, but I've also been unfortunate enough to have my favorite thing, which was my body, because I used to take it everywhere, leave me. And the hobbies that I used to enjoy became barren. My confidence then, because I was unable to get past the fact that there is so much more that you can do, I felt that my body had let me down. I wasn't bitter, but I was just so, I think, whenever you have something as traumatic as that, everything turns upside down. You may have been in something similar, and it's quite hard to understand your normal emotions whenever something like that comes. And so over the last, I'd say 8 months now, I had a bit of an awakening whenever I had my open heart surgery. It just changed my life. Literally, physically and mentally, it just completely changed me. But I was still holding on to the old version of myself that didn't really serve a purpose. And that's because my courage had gone. My courage had gone to do a podcast like this. My courage had gone to post things that I knew would give advice. And this is the really, really important thing. Sometimes you put things off, and I just had to think of a way to reword it in my brain to make it acceptable to go out and do something whenever I was still standing behind, lack of courage. And this is what I did. I said to myself, the longer I leave doing something, the less time I have whenever I start doing it is to enjoy it. And you're like, hang on a minute. Let's just really think about that. Let's say that again. So the longer I leave doing something means I'll have less time to enjoy it once I've started doing it. Now, this is something that you've thought about doing, that you've excited yourself about it, but there might be a courage wall or just you're not feeling ready wall. Never had that previously. But what you're doing is, it's like the flight is going on holiday, and what you're saying, do you know what? I'm just going to wait until that seat there is ready, and maybe there's nobody sitting around me because I'm not quite sure if they'll like my new green tracksuit. But all you're doing is stopping yourself from enjoying where you were going longer. It's as simple as that. And your brain will be very receptive for that. It'll be so receptive. It'll be like, oh, thanks very much. Yeah, I'll go and do that. And this is another little pearl because nobody is really watching. Nobody is really watching. Your true friends, they'll be completely supportive. Listen to this. If you do have any haters, whatever you're doing, they'll watch it on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. And then they'll watch it again to show someone else. But the brilliant thing is that will get you content shares and looks, which will eventually make you a millionaire. There's another one. The handy thing with the podcast, you can like rewind it and listen to it with little bits and stuff. A lot of the time we think whenever we're about to step off and do something that is what we haven't done before, because you have to do it. You have to be, the word is delusional. You have to be completely delusional because that delusional brain, all that is this new version of yourself who you'll meet in about 1 week, few months, few years. But that's that's how that person thinks. That's how that new version of you, that's how they think. And I know because my life has taken huge bounds into the future because of this way out. And it is a way out kind of thought. And it's not overconfidence. It's like, hang on a minute. Let's just think in a place of wonderment rather than worry. Yeah. And whenever you get there, you're looking around and you're thinking, wow, yeah. So the reason it may feel delusional to you whenever you're thinking about these great goals and these great dreams, because you've never been there before. It's the people who, for instance, we're going to use a marathon. I could never run a marathon, somebody'd say. And then they train and they train and they train. Then they run a marathon or they walk a marathon. That's it. We've all had dreams. If you look at the speed of dreams that children have and how reality arrives at them, right? In Christmas presents, instant. Food, hungry, get it, instant. That is how fast it happens. And whenever your abundance does happen, when you're standing in your state of courage, boy, it is electric. I get goosebumps just now thinking about the things that have happened to me in my life. I had a vision of I had a vision about 10 years ago. I'm an event and race director for several ultramarathons. I used to be an ultramarathon runner as well. Anyway, he's dead. He's gone. Doesn't exist anymore. Goodbye, boy. See ya. I'd seen this big event sort of thing, and I wasn't this was like back in 2016, 17, and we started on the beach and we finished on the beach, but this event was in the middle of Pachali, and you you don't put it away, but you become the bamboo. And I'll talk to you about the bamboo story in a minute. This is a beautiful story. So I was like, all right, so I parked that in my head, and then I was running, became ill, blah 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 blah. And then I was in hospital, and a thought came in through me, and I was like, hang on, there's Race for Life, there's the moonwalk, but there isn't an ultra marathon for women, but also the women who take part in the Race for Life, the women who are part of the family, the women who are maybe caregivers, the normal women, us human women. I'm saying us, just if there's women listening to this or watching this, that it was for everyone. But to attach a women's cancer charities to it. We had 500 women take part in the first one ever. It was the first ever ultra marathon for women in the world, right? Last year, we had 1,500 women take part. It's the biggest one in the world. This year, we've got 3,000 women signed up, and we have raised over £100,000. We've been to Portugal, and we've raised £10,000 for women's cancer charities there. We're over in Italy. Forget the numbers of people taking part. Forget the amount of money raised is saving lives. Because of the She Ultra, I came up with the idea to film one of our head medics doing a breast examination on a mannequin. We had over 45,000 women watch that, and it's growing and growing and growing because these videos are going in front of a different catchment area, right? We've had several women, by doing it, have found a lump and they've had surgery or they're going through surgery, right? And that is going back to, if I leave it another week, I'll have less of time to enjoy something whenever I'm in it. Whenever I first came up with the idea of the She Ultra, the ambulances were saying to my wife at the time, we're unable to take him to hospital because if he does go to hospital, he's so weak after his open heart surgery and the cancer treatment, he'll die. So that was it. So I had no idea I was going to see the first ever She Ultra. But it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. If you said the journey out loud there, wow, we are on the money. And I'm going to leave the show for now, and we'll speak to you on the next episode of Confidence from the Clouds. But listen, I've got your back, but get up.